Hello and welcome to Panther Sports Zone. I'm Caleb Carter.
And I'm Iman Abraham. Starting off, the men's basketball team was unable to come out on top against Texas Southern University, falling in the final seconds 77-78, down by 7 exiting the half. The Panthers outscored the Tigers 38-19 in the first 16 minutes, taking a 73-64 lead with less than 4 minutes in the contest. Repeated trips to the free throw line and second chance opportunities for Texas Southern gave them a 1-point lead with 9 seconds in the game. Unfortunately, the Panthers weren't able to keep the ball, turning it over as Prairie View lost its 4th game of the season, decided by just 1 point. With the loss, Prairie View tied with Alabama State in conference record at 8-10, but got the tiebreaker and number 8 seed with a 70-67 win over the Hornets. Earlier in the season, the Panthers take on number 1 Alcorn State this Wednesday, March 9th at 8:30 p.m. in the Swac basketball tournament. The Panthers go into the game with an even 1-1 record against the Braves, splitting its regular season contests.
Now we move into women's basketball. The Panthers won their final regular season game over rival Texas Southern 61-56. Going back and forth for most of the game, PV held the Lady Tigers scoreless in the final minute and 13 seconds of action, going on a 6-0 run to close out the game and enter the upcoming Swac tournament on a high note. An all-around effort. 4 Panthers scored in double figures, including Kennedy Paul, who led the way with 13 points and 6 rebounds. The win moved PV up in conference play, claiming the 6th seed in a tiebreaker against Grambling State, who also finished with a 10-8 record. The Panthers will take on number 3 Alabama State this Thursday, March 10th, in the first round of the Swac tournament. Tip-off begins at 11 a.m.
The women's tennis team had a mixed time of things this weekend as they dismantled Swac for Grambling State 6-1 Saturday before falling 2-5 to Texas A&M Kingsville. Taking on Grambling State, the team of Victoria Castillo and Mahogany Green and Jada Hill and Gabrielle Leslie both defeated their opponent by the same score of 6-1 in doubles competition. In single action, the Lady Panthers won 5 out of their 6 matches. Sophomore Gabrielle Lewis got PV off to a good start, winning 6-2 and 6-2 for the first match in the singles, before Castillo and Hill did the same against their opponents, winning in straight sets. Following a loss in the 4th spot, PV bounced back with a green win, concluding with a 3-set thriller that went the way of the Lady Panthers. Claudia Medina against Texas A&M Kingsville. The team got off to a good start as the teams of Green and Castillo and Hill and Leslie won in doubles competition to earn a point for the Lady Panthers. Leslie once more won in singles, clawing back to take sets 2 and 3, 6-0, 6-3 to take the match. Unfortunately, the rest of the team was unable to pick up in the point in singles play, the rest of the way finishing 0-5 in competition and 2-5 overall as a team. Women's tennis will pick things back up on Friday, March 11th, when they travel to Montgomery, Alabama to play Alabama State.
Now we move to baseball. PV Baseball took on New Mexico last Friday, March 4th through Sunday, March 6th, in a 4-game series tournament. On Friday, the Panthers managed to hold off the Aggies in a closer than expected 7-6 win. A Trey Turner homer drew first blood in this matchup for the Panthers as they once again scored first in a game for the 6th time this season. The Panthers scored 3 more runs in the 2nd and 3rd innings, including another Turner solo home run, before the Aggies responded with a 2-run outing in the 4th frame. The Panthers added 3 more runs to make it 7-2 going into the bottom of the 9th, where a 4-run explosion by the Aggies made it a 1-score game. Left-handed pitcher Devin Aguado came in to make the save, striking out 1 and throwing the last out to first seal the win for PV.
The Lady Panther softball team concluded the HBU tournament this weekend as a hard-fought effort through the 2-day competition. Unfortunately, it didn't translate to wins against Houston Baptist and Brown University. After a 1-9 loss to Brown earlier in the day, one competition, the Lady Panthers made things a lot closer in their next game against HBU. First inning double scored one of the Huskies as HBU took a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first. Both teams went scoreless over the next frames until the Huskies added a run in the 4th to advance their second 2-0 and take the win. In the game, PV out-hit HBU 6-5, but were never able to capitalize on those hits, stranding 6 Panthers in the loss. On day 2 of the HBU tournament, Prairie View was outscored 19-3 in rematches against Houston Baptist and Brown. A bright spot for the Panthers, junior Michaela Barnes, shone for the Panthers on the second day, going 3-3 at the bat and scoring a run. PVMU will take on its first conference opponent in Grambling State Friday, March 11th, with first pitch beginning at 3 p.m.
This Saturday, the reigning indoor champs, men and women track and field, return to action with several standout performances at the Texas Invite. On the women's side, junior Aaliyah Beecham, grad student Charday Mucker placed second overall in the long jump with a jump of 5.18 meters and Swac indoor runner-up in the 800. Dinah Murphy finished first in the 1500 with a time of 4 minutes and 52 seconds. On the men's side, the anchor leg of the first place 4x4 relay team, Damon Cobbs Jr., ran a time of 21.78 seconds in the 200-meter dash. Swac indoor most outstanding field athlete Nathan Crawford Wallace excelled in his first outdoor meet of the season as he hopped, skipped, and jumped out to a personal best 16 meters in the triple jump. The Panthers will be back on the track March 18th and 19th as they get set to compete in the TSU relays. When we come back, we'll hear from some of our news around the Swac. Don't go anywhere, right after the break.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Zone. With the conclusion of the regular season, the Western Athletic Conference has announced its 2022 Swac Women's Basketball Tournament, featuring the league's top 8 teams with the best conference records. For the 3rd year in a row, the Lady Tigers from Jackson State hoisted the Swac regular season title with an undefeated 18-0 record in conference play as they enter the tournament as the #1 seed. Alabama A&M claimed the 2nd seed with a 13-5 record in Swac, while Alabama State claimed the #3 seed in the tournament, followed by #4 seed Southern. Texas Southern comes in as the #5 seed, 11-7, just ahead of the #6 seed Prairie View A&M. Grambling State and Arkansas Pine Bluff claim the final 2 tournament bids and enter the tournament as the #7 and #8 seeds, respectively. The first round of games will be played on March 9th as #2 Alabama A&M takes on #7 Grambling State at 11 a.m. and #1 Jackson State squares off against #8 Arkansas Pine Bluff at 5 p.m. All games will be available to watch on ESPN+.
Continuing with the Swac tournament, the conference announced its final seeding for men's basketball as 10 teams vied for 8 spots on the final day of regular season play. Earlier in the week, Alcorn laid claim to the part of the regular season championship with a 100-77 win over Arkansas Pine Bluff Saturday, March 5th. It outright secured the crown and the 1st seed in the tournament. TSU claimed the 2nd seed in the tournament with a narrow win over the 8th seed Prairie View A&M. The #3 spot went to Southern, who also had a close call in a 50-49 win over #5 Alabama A&M. The #4 position went to Florida A&M with an 11-7 record in conference play, while Jackson State edged out Grambling State, was similar for the #6 seed via tiebreaker policy as the latter settled for the 7th seed. The tournament begins on March 9th with #2 Texas Southern taking on #7 Jackson State at 2 p.m. and number 1 Alcorn State facing number 8 Prairie View A&M at 8:30 p.m. on ESPN+.
For the second year in a row, Braylon Robinson will represent the Alcorn State men's track and field team in the 60-meter dash at the NCAA Indoor Championships held in Birmingham, Alabama. The Braves enter the competition with a time of 6.6 seconds, tied for the 10th fastest time in the event run this season. Robinson will look to advance to the finals of this 60 this time around and improve upon last year's 13th place. The indoor championships begin this Friday, March 11th. Coming up next, we will hear from one of the players who helped PV win its 4th consecutive Swac regular season bowling title, Crystal Klein. Stay tuned after the break.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Zone. Joining us today, we have the Swac Bowler of the Year, Crystal Klein. Crystal, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to get right into it because you've been here for 4 years, and you've won the Swac Bowler of the Year 4 years in a row. So tell me, how does that feel?
I'm going to correct you. It was Swac Bowler of the Year this year. I've been on the first team all-conference.
Excuse me, I'm sorry about that.
You're good. But no, it was a really big accomplishment for me to win it this year. I was trying because I was first team all-conference. I went 3rd place, 2nd place, 2nd place. So it meant a lot.
And now you're first.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long have you been bowling?
Oh, dear goodness. I'm 22. I've been bowling since I was 6, so 16 years now.
And what made you get into it?
So me and my brother are 10 years apart, so it was one of the rare things we could do together because you couldn't throw a softball at each other.
Okay.
That competition between siblings, oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Right. Now, I just went bowling the other day, and let me tell you, I didn't do too good, right? But tell me what sets bowling aside from any other sport that's out there?
So bowling is something that you have to be really consistent, and you're constantly doing a tedious motion to a lot of people, but for us, it's all about stability, consistency. You always have to make sure you are doing the same thing, because if you turn your hand over or you lose balance, it could mess up your shot completely. It's just something that a lot of people, it takes time to learn and adjust, but even if you throw the perfect shot, you may not get the first strike. So it's also a lot of mental awareness of how the game goes. Right.
Now, when you talk about mental awareness, and it requires a lot of muscle memory, right? Mm-hmm. Now, how do you deal with that, right? Because I know speaking for myself, when it comes to dealing with certain mental tasks, it can be a lot, right? It can kind of get to you. So how do you deal with that going about being such a prolific bowler?
So something that I always do whenever I go up to lane, I always make sure I take a breath and I say stay calm and composed, because as I said, you can throw the perfect shot and not get a strike. So you always have to keep your composure and make sure that you are throwing the shot you want to throw. And if the shot doesn't turn out the way you want to, if you throw a good shot, then you know you can adjust from it.
Right.
Okay. So it sounds like process is a big thing.
Yes.
Because I remember my coach, that's all he talked about was focus on your process, focus on your process. So would you say, is that what are the things, like the process is one of them that your coach instilled in you, or what are the one things that you feel like your coach has just told you and hasn't left you?
Consistency and stay down.
Those are the two things.
Yes,
that just,
consistency and execute your shot, because that's the only way that you'll know if you can fix something or not.
Awesome. And then as being like a crazy long championship team, what do you feel like has made you guys stay on top for so long?
I think the team being able to be a team, it has been very important. If someone is not bowling too well or someone gets down, we're very good about backing each other up and making sure that if they're not doing well, then hey, we're there. This is a team sport. We're not by ourselves.
That's awesome. I love
Right.
that.
Now, we just talked about how I got my facts wrong earlier, right? but one thing that I did notice was that you won Swac Bowl of the Year, and it was narrowly over your teammate, Asia Wren.
Yes.
So how was that competition, going into practice and going into these bowling tournaments, vying for that title?
Going into that tournament, the first round up, I did not perform the way I wanted to, so I was just trying to get to top 5 and have my 4-year first team all conference. So it was very not expected. I was rooting for Asia all the way. I'm like, hey, we want PV on top. It doesn't matter who. I will get to top 5. I'll help you out. But I thought it was her all the way. We didn't know until after we bowled. I didn't even know it was a possibility that I could be first.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome. But like, at least you guys have that dynamic where you guys are a team. It's not one person, even though it is technically is it an individual sport?
No, it's a team sport.
Okay.
So you have individual games that you may bowl, but you have bakers, which are a one game composed of 5 people. So
Okay.
one person bowls 2 frames each.
Right.
And so it is a team.
Okay, yeah, so there's no I in team on
Right.
that.
No, there is not.
That's awesome. And have you ever bowled a 300 before?
Unfortunately, I have not. I've come close. I have a 299. I
Oh,
got all the way to the last shot.
Basically 300. We'll give it to
Hey,
you.
round up.
Right.
Yes.
Now, but when we talk about that competition in between the teammates, right? And we talk about how the coach has pushed you. One thing that I noticed, because we had the coach come for National Signing Day, was he talked about how the bowling team has probably the highest GPA of all the teams on campus. So how does that feel to be a part of that, and just knowing that, you're covering the athlete part of it, but you're also the student and the student athlete?
Yes, it's really important to all of us. Like, every time we go to a tournament, we always want to hang out as a team, but we go, who has homework, who has homework? Like, we're always checking up on each other. And we always make sure, like, classes, like how your class is going. And it's just something that it's very important to us that our grades are up there, because we can't compete if our grades aren't there.
That's awesome. And since this is your last year, is there anything that you want to really leave your mark as being known for, other than just being Swac Bowler of the Year?
Something I said to myself whenever I came here, we came with a big class of freshmen, and I said, we want 4 years, 4 rings, and that's my goal that I'm going to do again.
That's awesome. I love that.
Right. Now, I had the opportunity to visit the rugby field the other day, and it's a unique sport where they have their unique traditions. So I want to hear a little bit about bowling. And is there anything that you guys do that is out of the norm to say?
Not necessarily. It's just it's a lot more balance than you think, because you are putting a lot of pressure on one side of your body. So you have to figure out a way to balance that out, or else you're going to fall over in shot and not bowl that well.
Right.
So is there anything that you feel like makes you guys stand out as a team, as a championship team, compared to others that have won and haven't won again or anything?
I think it is that team aspect that we've always had. Whenever you see other teams, you always see someone stick out and get mad at someone, and we're going, no, we're good, we got your back. And that's something that we're always very forward about, like, hey, we got your back, this is a team.
And did you walk into that, like, that team dynamic, or did you guys have to build that within these last 4 years?
I walked in with that personal view on things because I fortunately did have a high school program that I got to come out of.
That's
Some
awesome.
girls didn't. So whenever some girls come into college, they've never had a team. It was an individual sport for them. But once they realize, hey, I have someone here that will help me, and then we're always going to help each other, like, hey, you may have not noticed this whenever you bowled. So we've always made sure that that's there. But yeah.
Great.
Now, we talked about how, bowling isn't really a individual sport. It's a team sport. But one thing we do want to do with our guests is highlight their accomplishments, right? And you've done it all, right? You been on the first team all Swac with bowling for 4 years. You've become the Swac Bowler of the Year. And we talked a little bit about this off camera, right? How you may not want to really go into the semi-pro or pro bowling scene, but is there anything outside of bowling? What are your career goals in that realm?
Honestly, for outside of bowling, it's more, I just want to get my first degree and then I'm going to go to grad school. I'm going to get my certification and my master's at the same time for teaching. So, yeah, that's about it for me.
Wow,
don't have a lot.
you're ending on a good note as
Right.
being
Right.
literally
Now-
Swac Bowler of the Year.
I'm sorry, but
Good.
one thing I did want to comment on was that our segment producer Worthington Moore, he had the chance to go to one of the bowling tournaments, and he noticed that on the back of your shirts, it says, let me get this right, it says no excuses, make it happen. So what does that mean to you when we hear that?
So no excuses, make it happen. It's been on our backs for 4 years now. I'm actually wearing the shirt under this. But to us, it just means that you're gonna mess up, so stop making excuses for yourself and just bowl like you know how to bowl and make it happen.
Right. Right.
Well, that's really inspirational because I know our coach has talked about the same thing as well. And I think it's very important because when you're in the moment, you're getting upset when you're not doing well, I feel like everybody it's easier to make excuses. But I like that at least you guys, as coach, has instilled into you guys to just keep going and not make it. I feel like he obviously creates a positive environment for you guys to get the job done. And you guys have.
Yes.
Right. I mean, because just like she was saying, I mean, and we talked about it earlier, all the mental stakes that come with bowling, right? And it can be a little challenging, right? When it comes to the muscle memory of things, and you said you got to balance that all on one side of your body, right? You kind of need that motivation just to say, I can do this, right? I can keep going. I can persevere through whatever challenges that I may face. But I got to tell you, I really have a newfound appreciation for bowling when you came up here because, every other time I go bowling with my friends or something, and I bowl, a 60, do terribly. But, to have
Man,
Okay.
298?
299. Get it right.
Okay.
Let's not cheat you on that.
Anything is amazing
But,
to me.
I mean, that's honestly amazing. And we thank you again for joining us on the show. Thank you for coming out to Panther Sports Zone. And, we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Yes,
But-
thank you for coming.
Right. Now, that'll be all for today's episode of Panther Sports Zone. Make sure to tune in to us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5:30 p.m. Once again, I'm Caleb Carter.
And I'm Iman Abraham, signing out.